Hey, what's going on, guys? Poison Rain here. I am here with what you're about to build, or at least learn how to build. Um, that other video, you might have just needed 1.5 hours, 2 hours of your time. This one, if you don't have at least 10 hours to spare, well, it's going to take a few days to do this then. And that's just a bare minimum. This took me about 48 hours total to build. That's minus research and experimenting. So, yeah, make sure you have a lot of time on your hands, and you're going to have to come back to this video frequently, or at least multiple times. There are 3 things that you need to do before going through this tutorial. One, you need to watch my part 1 of this tutorial. You also need to watch the Slimestone Basics video that I have. There's a lot of terminology in both of those videos that will help you out greatly, and if you don't know, will be lost in. So, yeah, and then the last thing, after watching the Slimestones and Basics video, I'd invite you to experiment with Slimestone and flying machines to familiarize yourself more with how to build this, because it's not going to be like a typical tutorial whatsoever. It's not a block by block tutorial. It's a step by step, and if you don't understand basic core, if you don't understand core rules to Slimestone, and don't understand how to quickly solve these issues within Slimestone, then you're going to be lost in this video very quickly. So, yeah. I guess it's on to step 1. For step 1, you're going to want to make 2 trenches on the opposite sides of your perimeter. As for mine, I didn't measure it out, so it goes a bit farther that way than it should, and it's a bit wider than it should be, but it fits our purposes. As for you guys, you're going to have to measure it out, and it has to be 2 trenches 16 blocks wide on either side. After that, you will go to the edge of your perimeter, the 2 sides of it, and you will have to manually dig out a 1 block space. And after doing that, you will need to make sure any fluids, lava or water, are not flowing into this area from either side, as well as make sure this area here is cleared of any lava or water or obsidian. The next step is dealing with how to set up, or where to set up, this first igniter. You're going to want yourself a locator map. You don't need an item frame, but you're going to need to find the eastern side of your world eater if it is an east-west, meaning the trenches will go up and down on your map. Or you need to find the south side of your world eater if your trenches go from side to side across your map. If you're a north-south world eater, you will go to the southern section the southern trench, and then you will go to the western side of it, which would be on that side over there, and you will build this igniter. I'll show you how to build it in a bit. With the east-west, you will want to go to the eastern trench and build the igniter on the southern side. Now, how to build the igniter is you're going to want to build it 6 blocks in from the edge, it says on my notes. No, 4. If I remember correctly, yes, 4. Because I've made mine extra wide just for test, just to make sure I had it decently wide enough. But you will only need to bring it in 4 blocks from the innermost edge, which is this edge here. But since mine is a bit wider than it should, it goes in 6. So those first 2 you guys would probably have filled in. Then 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to want to build it with this piston right here, well, the only piston on it, in line with the either southern trench or the western trench, depending on whether or not you got an east-west or a south-north world eater. To build it, it is downward facing piston, a slime block there, sticky piston here, observer facing that way, 2 slime blocks up, observer facing down, and a sticky piston facing up, and then a slime block on top. You will want to build the starter, or the igniter, sorry, again, 23 blocks higher than the highest block in the perimeter. I will get into why that high up later. Now, before I continue on, I need to mention what I mean by horizontal and depth. I will be using these terms a lot. Horizontal means it is in line with your trench, and depth means it is in line with your dugout trenches, the one wide ones. Meaning if I said go 2 deep from this piston, I mean 1, 2. And if I say 2 blocks horizontal of the piston, I mean 1, 2. And that is away from the outermost edge, always. Otherwise, I'll use the terms back and out. Now, for the TNT droppers, when I was setting this up, I was an idiot and left the wrong TNT droppers. So, I'm just going to demonstrate. 65 blocks up. I'm not even going to count that out. 2 blocks horizontal of, and 13 blocks deep from the piston here. You will place a downwards facing dispenser. And then from there, you will go 5 blocks over. Meaning afterwards there will be 4 blocks of space. And you will place another downwards facing dispenser. And you will do that for however many dispensers you need, or not dispensers, TNT droppers you need for your World Eater. As for mine, I have 32. After that, you will build the TNT droppers on top of these, which, just a little view of, I don't know what I'm saying anymore. But yeah, you'll just start building that, and then after that you will build module for the appropriate version of it, depending on the size of your perimeter. If you're going for a larger perimeter size, then you will, which is larger than a 16 by 16 chunk area, you will build the higher capacity version, and then if smaller, you'll build the lower capacity version. After building all of the module 4s, you will want to connect them all up. How you're going to connect them up is with an alternating pattern between these two pushing arms. The first one is a downward facing piston, then a slime block, then an observer with power facing into this slime block, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more slime blocks, then the opposite of what's over there, with the downward facing piston on this side. And then the one you'll start with, I probably should have started with that, is this one here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 slime blocks, with an observer facing into this slime block here, and a piston facing downwards underneath. And as you get higher, you will need smaller pushing extensions to reach here. And the reason why there's so many pushing extensions is because all of them are timed to go off at the same time. If you don't want this, I don't know why you wouldn't. It means that it's just one burst of lag rather than a lot of lag over a much longer period of time. But you will go always starting with an L pushing extension, then a board pushing extension, and it will always end with a L pushing extension. So you will have the L pushing extension, board, L pushing extension, board, until you reach this. As for this top piece, it is this one here, but it has its end cut off. It's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 long with slime blocks, and this one is also 6 long. But the difference is this one's got an observer here and a piston here. The reason for it will be shown later. And then you will need this here with 2 pistons on either side and observers facing into both blocks. This next step is not going to go heavy into detail into how to get this proper, but this here is the timing of the docking station. This determines how long it will take before these TNT droppers will be launched off. Why you would want these to be held here for some time is because these need to refill. As they go across and back, they use up TNT, and these depots here are here to refill them. That's why there are two different types of Module 4. But just the gist of it is you have L pushing extensions, and then pulling extensions. You can either have square or L as well. And then at these turns, they're unique depending on what your timing needs are. And down at the bottom, it needs to be this way. Otherwise, you'll have your slime block attached here. And then this here would not be able to properly work. Part 3 of the video will tell you the means on how to determine how to get this timing right. It all depends on the size of your perimeter. The next step deals with the AFK spot. This piston here comes into use. You will build this pushing arm. It is 10 slime blocks with a downward facing piston here and a observer with its power facing into this block. Then you will build 16 L extensions, and then you will build this here, which with the slime block here in the middle, 3 in either way with slime blocks. On this side, downward facing piston, observer power facing into that block. Over here, and a slime block will be placed here, downward facing piston here, observer facing into power facing into that block, then a laying L pushing extension here, down into module 8. And I believe that is it for this step. Yes, it is. This step has a lot in it, and I mean a lot. So pay attention. First, you're going to want to build 8 of these L pushing extensions along the back underneath that piston right there. Then underneath the 8th one, you're going to want to build this modified L pushing extension with 2 slime blocks on top. The next part is over here. From the piston here, you will go back 2 blocks, and then horizontal 1 block. And that block right there will be your observer facing that way. The power will be facing that way. Then after that, you will want to build the starter flying machine on top or off of that. Then off of that, you will want to build module 5. Then from this observer here, you will go 1 block deep, 2 blocks horizontal, and how many blocks down? 21 blocks down, you will place a glass. And from that glass, you will build 5 blocks over. On that 5th block, you'll place a glass block. And you will do that for however many TNT droppers that you have built. After that, on top of them, you will build module 2. The next step you're going to want to do is connect these here. You're going to want to do it the same exact way as you did up there, starting with this pushing arm here, pushing on the closest block you can get to the center, and then, well, I should say starting on the closest slime block, because the piston will not work. Then this one, then the pushing extensions, then this one, then this one, then the pushing extensions, and you get the point. But when you get up here, this pushing arm here has 6 blocks wide of slime blocks, a piston facing down here on the edge, observer facing power into this. Then on top of that slime block is a sticky piston. That sticky piston will pull this arm here, which is exactly like, well, the one up there, which is like this one. 10 blocks long on this. Observer here, facing power into this, and then the piston is facing downwards here, but if it's a sticky piston, it'll be facing upwards. You will alternate between using a sticky piston and a piston, as you can see. And then when you reach the end, it's a bit modified. I believe it's still 10 blocks long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, 10. An observer facing power into this one, then the piston is on the other side rather than on the end. Then you'll have this sideways square pushing extension, which pushes into this. And then on the other side, you will do the same with this bottom part and with this, but you will not have this sticky piston here. I feel like I'm flying through this, so I'm gonna give you 3 things right now. First, it's okay to pause the video. You're gonna need to take time anyways to build up all this stuff. You're not going to remember any of it. If you think you are, you're wrong. I can't remember any of it. I have to look at my notes. And I designed the dang thing. Number 2, it's a good idea that when you're done with this side here, you got the other half that I don't have, to make a backup of your world. To do so, you just quit, go into the settings, go to the bottom, copy world. Now that you're a third of the way done with this half of the world eater built, it's time to go to the other half, is where you will put the second igniter. It is built exactly the same as over there. It's not even flipped, but it is in line with this, and you just need to find the Y coordinate of the piston on the other side and build this one block lower. And you have to build it this time for real 6 blocks back from this edge over here. Then you're going to want to build 67 blocks up. I'm not going to build up again. 4 blocks deep, which is this way. This side depth is opposite to that side because it is closer to this edge than that side is. Then you will build 2 blocks horizontal. And then where this block is, up there, you will put a glazed terracotta block. You'll place one of those every 5 blocks, leaving a 4-block gap in between. And after that, you will build the appropriate version of Module 2 on top. And I believe I did not mention that you need to build as many as you do TNT droppers on that side. Now, once we get to this point, you need to make sure before you even start to build Module 4 here, I would run the World Eater on a copy world to make sure that this here, that the TNT droppers here, stop with the chest right here, and a gap in between the 2 pieces. They're the 2 pieces of the flying machine. Anyways, that is to make sure that you have everything aligned, as well as to make sure that that igniter over there, or that the starter over there, comes over here and runs into this igniter. How you start it is simple. Just have a lever, and then activate it. Oh well. Oh well. And it'll go. And you're not worrying about it returning, so you don't really have to worry about this being up here. But this is what it should look like as it goes through the fuse, however short you set it. You shouldn't have had loaded up your TNT yet. You're not done. You're not ready to do so. My computer's struggling. Does not like to record this. But as I move over here, some of these flying machines might give out because they're out of simulation distance. But what we care about is to see if this igniter here moves down a block. We can simply find that out with placing a slime block here. If it goes off, the slime block will no longer be next to the piston. And if these line up, as I said, we will lose quite a bit of flying machines because they're out of simulation distance. But as these flying machines come closer, we will see that since mine came from I basically just tore apart a working World Eater, mine will end up lining up, and yours may not. This also might be able to tell you whether or not you've built your World Eater too big for your device to handle. And as you saw, it fired off, which means we've got both locations correct, and we're good. The next step you're going to want to do is link them all up, same exact process as over there. Chunks loading in. At the top, again, 6 along here, 2 blocks, then these. The difference over here, though, is that instead of a piston being here, the piston is here to better centralize this, I guess. I don't know why I did it. That was over a month ago when I designed this. The next part is timing. The connections here are insanely simple. I made those a little overcomplicated for no reason whatsoever, except this is now a mess. I used a bunch of board pulling extensions combined with these laying L extensions, and then on the way up I just used these square extensions. But that is if you have a smaller perimeter. For a larger perimeter, you're going to want to launch this immediately because there is no TNT storage on this side. So the quicker you can get this off, the faster your machine will run. So to build these, I'm going to go below the cloud so you can see it. You're going to want to build 10 blocks up of slime blocks, upwards facing sticky piston there, an observer, power facing into this. That goes from there all the way up there, and then those extending arms will connect to it if you're doing a larger perimeter. If you're doing a smaller one, then you will want these timings, as I said. This was just an experiment with timings to see if I can make it more and more compact, but this here was kind of a gross, very, very gross timing chain. But yeah, I got the job done. Along the back, starting from here, you're going to want to build the same or a similar piston arm to over there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 slime blocks out. Then this thing, sorry. After that, you're gonna want again 16 pushing or 16L pushing extensions. Then you're gonna want this contraption here. Slime block there, underneath goes a slime block, to the side a slime block, then go down 2 slime blocks, and then on this side over 1. Observer power facing into this, downward facing piston here, downward facing piston here, and observer power facing into this block. Actually, I'm going to do an improvement on camera. You don't need an observer there, you can have an observer there, facing into the slime block. And then off of this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks out, then your observer facing into here, or power facing into there, downward facing piston here, and then you will build module 7. Sorry. And then over here, you will. Oh, this is still from when I was rehearsing. Didn't do me much good. I did it. You're gonna want to build 1 block up, 4 blocks back, and 2 blocks horizontal. And on that second block, you will place a glazed terracotta. And then off of that glazed terracotta block, you will build module 6. That's it for this step. So the next step is, from this glazed terracotta here, you're going to want to go 20 blocks down, 1 block back. Sorry, I didn't write it down. Anyways, after you get that down, you're going to place 1 down every 5 blocks, for leaving a gap of 4 in between for every single TNT dropper that you've got. And then on top, you will want to build module 1. But before you get too far into it, you're going to want to do another check to see if all of your flying machines are aligned. Once you get the first few of these down, you're going to want to exit your world. Copy it. Let your computer whine at you for loading up a new world that's also not new. And then you're going to want to go to the other side. And since we're not worrying about a return, we won't worry about whether or not the piston gets let go or not. Oh dear Lord. Inventory is crowded on this world. Then lever there. I got it that time. And I'll cut to it to when the flying machines arrive. This time I'm careful to not lose any flying machines. Also, I have figured out a way to make my video quality much higher. As we can see, all of these TNT droppers will stop. And the next, to see which one, or to see if it'll stop at the right place, is this. And it has. Oh, don't go too far. Actually, those will just continue on anyways. So, over here, you'll see that these have stopped, and this has stopped. If they all stop, with this gap in between them, then you're good. And it fires off as well. These obviously aren't going to stop. They don't have a module to stop them. So yeah, they're just going to keep on going. But yeah, if you've got all those lined up, continue building module 1 all the way to the end. And then the last step is connecting these. It's the same as over there, except this should line up properly to where this doesn't have to be extended at all. And then over here, same process as before for launching that one off. These alternate between a pulling one and a pushing one until you reach the end, where you'll build a special pushing extension for whatever is necessary to fill in the last gap. And finally, after completing this bottom part, the last piece you're going to want to do is from here. You're going to want to have 7 L pushing extensions all the way down to this modified L pushing extension, which will be an 1/8 with 2 slime blocks up top. And here you have it, your very own World Eater. It is built, but we're only 2/3 of the way done. And as for some of you, you want bigger than this. So dimensions and timings and how this is all set up is going to change quite a bit. And if you want to expand it differently than what I have it, some knowledge on Slimestone will help you, as well as a bit of guidance from me, as these things are going to be a bit tricky to expand, especially if you get past a 48 wide machine. Timings will need to change the larger your machine gets, and as I said, I haven't even gone through how to get these timings. And then finally, there are 3 different processes on how to fill up the TNT necessary for this machine. 1 for that side and 2 for this side. And so I'll need to go over those, as well as how to bug fix this if, let's say, one of these machines doesn't make it back, or when it gets back, it just keeps going. There's a lot of problems that can arise from these World Eaters, and so having extensive knowledge on Slimestone will help you out. So I would suggest study up on that if you really want to work with these. As well as, if you want, try and improve it. I already have a couple of designs improved, namely Module 6, that one, the TNT return station, and as well as this module, which I believe is Module 3. And Module 8 right there. So Module 8, I will eventually give an update video on how to make these new designs. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, pretty sure most of you did. It's bold for me to assume. Then hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, or you want some more of these insane redstone builds, then keep up with the channel, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. 15 likes on this one as well. That's the goal. I know you guys can do it. We hit 10 on the Slimestone Basics. We can hit 15 on the World Eater. But anyways, thanks so much. I'll see you in the next one. and have a nice day.